So, welcome everyone to another episode of Extraordinary Women in Tech, a Diamond podcast, where we spotlight remarkable women who are shaping the future through leadership, innovation, and impact. Today, I'm really delighted to have Nora Osman with me. She's our newest Diamond member, and she's joining us from New York. Hi, Nora. How are you?
Hi, it's a pleasure to be here.
I'm really excited to spotlight your story. Nora is a seasoned technology and transformation executive, CEO of Norvana, and a trusted advisor to organizations navigating digital transformation, AI strategy, and customer experience. More recently, I'm really excited that Nora has become an author of her inspiring new book, From Zero to Hero, where she really shares practical lessons on leadership, resilience, and personal growth, which we're all looking forward to hearing about. And Nora, welcome to Extraordinary Women in Tech. I'm so excited. And I think the first question I would love to ask you is about your journey. You've spent over 20 years leading digital transformation and customer experience, right? Looking back, where really there were some moments or a moment that defined and shaped your future as a leader and who you are today, and how did you get inspired to write a book From Zero to Hero?
That's a really good question. And a lot of people ask different varieties of questions and variables of that. I don't know that there's one specific defining moment, though I talk about this fork in the road that I thought I was going one way, but I ended up going another way. And it's around a time when I was a sole contributor, and I got asked if I wanted to continue to be this evangelist expert or if I'd like to go into a management or leadership role. And when I first said no, I didn't know that 6 months later I would take on my first leadership role and would continue down that journey for 20 plus years. So sometimes you think you know which way you're going, but you don't. And being open to an opportunity when it comes your way, something that is completely outside of your comfort zone and that scares you enough to be exciting, and you say yes anyway, I think that is a big deal. A lot of people try to stay the slow and steady path and don't open themselves up to opportunity enough because of the concern around being outside of their comfort zone. And for me, I learned very early on that the more uncomfortable something is, the more likely it's going to manifest in something amazing. And I'm going to learn at a higher, faster rate than before.
Fantastic. And the book, even the name is really inspiring. The book is called From Zero to Hero. So what does the title really mean? Is it about career success, personal transformation, or something much deeper? And what do you really hope that readers take away from finding and finishing the reading?
So the reason I wrote Zero to Hero is because every interaction with a human being is a moment of truth. And you're either a hero or a zero. But the difference between hero and zero is really, really very small. And what I talked about in the book is recognizing that pivotal moment when you can lift people up, when you can lean into the human experience, when you can influence people and their lives and their journeys. And so I share my own stories, and there's, based on AI reading my book after I published it, something like 47 stories in this book. There's a lot of stories. And I share those stories for the reason that I want to show how life looks like from the inside of a leadership journey, and that we don't have it perfect either. We don't have everything figured out. There's so many zero moments, and this is what it looks like. This is what it sounds like. This is what it feels like. But here are opportunities where we took those zero moments also and pivoted and made them hero moments for other people. And learning to lift other people up and give the platform and the stage to others is part of the leadership journey.
It's so beautiful. I'm hearing so much that is little moments, little decisions that you make, right? It's not for you that you become a hero, yet you become hero for others, that giving back and living with purpose, right? And also what you mentioned that I don't know if it resonates with you, but the stories that you have, over 40 stories, maybe every story had its own path, but it ended up with a hero moment. Is that the path in the background?
Well, it's kind of navigating the real world, right? You could have something where you just botched it up and you had a terrible decision and a pitfall, it's how you recover from that and how you say, okay, I could do better. Let me change my mindset. Let me fix this. Let me turn this from zero to hero. And it's recognizing that you have the power to do that and that no one mistake will fully define you. Mistakes refine you, they don't define you. If you think in that way, you'll find that you're constantly learning and you're constantly opening opportunities up that didn't exist. I'm going to give you an example of what could have been a zero moment and how, as a leader, I changed the opportunity to make it a hero moment. I was at a conference with a candidate for an award. We had nominated this person. In my book, I call her Doris Day. And she'd actually climbed up the ranks through multiple rounds of awards to get to a national level. And now the background is I had already resigned or given my resignation notice, and I was 2 weeks away from leaving. And this was only a couple of days before my last day. But I decided to go and be there for her because I wanted to show my support. She was one of my people. She was on my tribe. Now she shows up. She's super nervous. She's one of, I don't know, 6 or 7 people that are finalists for this award. Wearing a beautiful black suit, nice shiny jewelry, and brand new Coach patent leather pumps. Now I'm looking at her face, and this is a sign of somebody who's not just nervous, somebody who's in pain. And I asked her, what is wrong? She's like, my feet are killing me. These shoes are so tight. I'm in so much pain. And I'm like, how are you going to walk? She's like, I don't know. I feel like I'm in a torture chamber right now. And I'm like, this isn't good. You can't be looking like, you're being tortured right now. You need to be smiling. You need to be relaxed. You need to manifest a positive situation. And so I looked at her shoes, and I'm wearing, a suit and my own shoes. And I said, what size are you? And she said 9. And I said, same. And I'm like, okay, mine are black. You are black. Do you want to switch? She's like, can we? And I swapped shoes with her.
Amazing.
And she got immediately into a broken in shoe that's comfortable. Mine was leather as well. It looked good in what she was wearing. And she got up on stage when they called her name, and she was at ease, and she accepted the award. And I was beaming in the audience. I was a little bit less comfortable than before because they were tight on me, but I was at least seated, and I wasn't trying to walk up a stage and give a little speech and acknowledge people and all that. But if you think about how a lot of people would have thought about this, is like your problem, not mine. Why didn't you pack shoes that were comfortable? Why didn't you try the shoes on before? I wouldn't put my feet in somebody else's shoes. What if you have a nail fungus? What if you've got some other disease? Most people would have thought of all those other things and said, there's no way I'm offering my shoes, right? Your
Yeah.
problem. But when you're a servant leader, you put them first. You find ways to lift other people up, and you don't think of all those other scenarios and all these obstacles. You just execute. And so I
Yeah.
talked about this a couple of times in other podcasts as well, because it is such a unique story. And it was a beautiful ending. And I am very, very proud of her achievement in that moment. And it's one of the highs in my book.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I think it's so rewarding when you do something unexpected, when it's even unexpected to you, right? And that's when you see at the end the rewards, and it feels so good. I feel that sisterhood that we've been trying to build at EWIT is really stays in the core of that, servant leadership. And one of the favorite ideas that you shared with me recently is your analogy of gardening for leadership. You often talk about leaders as gardeners rather than heroes. Like, can you explain what it means? Is how do leaders really cultivate environments where people, innovation, and transformation naturally thrive?
Yeah, it's interesting you should ask this question, because I just wrote a spotlight piece about that for my newsletter, 2 Cent Tuesdays. And because it's gardening season, I'm in the garden all the time, and I'm cultivating a massive amount of different varieties of plants and trees. But here's the thing. Every plant needs similar things. You need light, you need air, you need soil, you need water. Beyond that, there are different degrees of everything. And if you think about people, every single one of us needs water, food, shelter, clothing, but beyond that, different degrees of everything, right? Different likes, wants, desires, all that. And so to think that everybody should be treated exactly the same is a problem, because no two plants are exactly the same. No two human beings are exactly the same. Even identical twins are not exactly identical. So when you have the lens of a gardener, you lean in and you look at that plant or that tree or that bush, and you really learn to read its leaves. You look at the roots, you look at the soil, you look at its growth pattern. Same thing with people. You look at their environment, you look at their questions, their output, their comments, their body language. You see how they're performing within a team. Everything is unique to them. The problem that we have in a society is we are in love with the golden rule. And I think the golden rule is a big fallacy. Treat people as you'd want to be treated. Well, the assumption is that we all want to be treated the same way, that we're all the same. We're not the same. So I talk about in the book the platinum rule: treat people as they want to be treated. And that is a very similar mindset of a gardener. Every plant is different. You look at the leaves, how they're performing, you look at the roots, you look at the growth pattern, and every plant will need a slightly different environment. And when you give it what it wants, it it blossoms and it manifests and it grows in ways that you never expected. I'm going to give a little
Mhm.
example. I wrote about my plum tree, which I planted in 2013. Now, this plum tree, you would look at it every spring and you'd say, wow, this plum tree is going to explode every year. From 2013 until this year, I would look at it and say, great, I've pruned it, I've fertilized it. Look at all these blossoms in the spring. And then all these little baby pears. And every year, the same thing happens. All these baby plums fall to the ground after a rainfall or heavy breeze, or the squirrels mess around with them, but I wouldn't get any plums. None. Like going from thousands on the branches to none. And it dawned on me, I'm doing something wrong or I'm missing something. So this year I said, you know what? I'm not going to prune it. Maybe it doesn't need to be pruned. Maybe it goes into shock or it doesn't like that. So let me do something different. And let me step up the spraying. Maybe it needs to be sprayed more. So whatever aphids or other bugs that are attacking it get off of it. And wouldn't you know, all those same baby pears started to get bigger, and I'm like, okay, usually there's a lot more on the ground. I'm like, maybe things are different this year, who knows. This week I harvested something like 60 pounds of plums, the most
Wow.
beautiful green plums. Now I go from zero to hero. I can't
Yeah.
find enough people on my block to give bags of plums to at this rate, because it's exploding. So it needed something that I didn't give it initially. And sometimes when you look at people on your team, you could be doing the same thing for them that you're doing for everybody else, but you forgot one thing or you're missing one thing with them. Maybe they need a stretch assignment. Maybe they need a talk. Maybe they need an extra skill. Maybe they need a little extra time. Maybe they need a swift kick in the butt. Everybody needs something different. And when you hone in and you figure out what they need and you give it to them, they blossom. I rarely see people that don't respond well to what they need. Unless you have a really bad seed, a really evil fruit, you usually get amazing results when you give people what they need.
Fantastic.
That's the
I
human
love it.
experience. So
And
that's the
yeah,
story around gardening. And I have to say, when we apply the mindset of a gardener and we really think about, do they need a different pot? Do they need a different spot? Is it the sun? Is it the shade? Do they need more fertilizer, less fertilizer? What do they need? Is it more skill? Is it more support? What do people need? And you give people what they need. That's it.
Beautiful. Platinum rule, really rethinking why they're not growing, like your plum tree idea. And I feel that every human, as you said, needs a different treatment, different experience. But as you said, if it's repeating the patterns, maybe it's something to do with us, right?
Yeah.
To rethink how we treat the person. Um, Nora, I have a question for you. There's a lot of women right now, especially in my network. They're transitioning, changing careers, as you said earlier, making bold moves and navigating through AI transformation. What advice would you give those women who are feel a little uncertain, especially in a changing area where there is less jobs but more human experience needed, and I feel like more female leadership is needed, authentic leadership. What would you tell them to, to look forward to, or not to be stopped in the future?
Another great question, and you just keep coming up with aces on these. So
Mhm.
that's a really good angle to pivot to. And I want to come back to this concept that leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. And this is not my quote. This is John C. Maxwell. He said that in his 21 Laws of Irrefutable Leadership. The reason I bring that up is because I think everybody needs to lead themselves first. And in Zero to Hero, I broke down leadership with the ABCs of leadership. So I'm going to bring this back to women and men, because I didn't write this book just for women. I wrote it gender agnostic and demographic and age agnostic, honestly. The first thing is A, for authenticity. There is not supposed to be 2 and 3 and 4 versions of yourself. Who you see in the mirror in the morning should be who you meet. People in your house should be the people in the street, the people in the office. There should only be one version of yourself. You don't turn one version on and turn one version off. No. Be authentically you. Show up 100% who you are. People can tell the difference. And we're in a world of fake everything. And we all crave authenticity and that humanity. So always remember, one of your strengths is your authentic self. Don't try to be somebody you're not. Only be the best version of yourself. The second thing I would say around leadership is be bold. Boldness is important. We do not grow, we do not manifest opportunities by being in our comfort zone, shying away from opportunities, doing the easy stuff. Easy stuff doesn't get you far. Bold moves, charging at things, doing the thing that's really strange or unusual or unexpected is what gets you noticed. It's what gives you an open door opportunity. It's what establishes a rapport and relationship with people. And so what if it doesn't work? Yeah, so what? I have so many failures. I could write a book just on my zeros. Maybe that will be my sequel, like all of the Norvana zero moments, or
Yeah.
one on here. Like it, who cares? We're all human. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody is imperfect. And the last thing is the C for compassion.
Mm.
Oh boy, do we need compassionate people and compassionate leaders, especially. Be mindful of others. We live on this planet with, I don't know what, the gazillion, 10 billion people, right? We are all brothers and sisters. We're all human. I mean, there isn't an alien within us that we know of. Maybe they're on some planet elsewhere, but we need each other. We need to be in each other's corners and recognizing other people, reading people, listening to people, and leaning in and doing this little thing is really what makes a difference between somebody having a 0 day and a hero day. Right? So we are capable of giving and lifting other people up and being compassionate. And when you act in that way, it pays dividends. It just, you never know where the karmic energy is going to come back and another door will open for you, or a person will call you out of the blue, or something that was not happening turns into a happening thing for you. But there's just so much goodness that's waiting for people when they lean into compassion.
I think it's just the perfect conclusion of their interview. Be authentic, be bold, and have compassion. I feel that especially today, it's so important. It's so validating for human experience, right? We always think about, okay, replacement with AI, but there's
And
all
I want
these
to
three
address
things cannot do that.
AI part of this because, yeah, AI is another tool. It is a genie. Think of Gen AI and generative AI as a genie. Now, you could take the genie and ask it for ridiculous things, or you could take the genie and have it help you get better and learn things and become an asset for you. We've always had Google and other ways of learning in the past, but now you can accelerate your learning. You can have a coach, you can have resources at your fingertips, and the speed thing and the capacity has been solved for. Now it's up to you to decide what you're going to do with that. How are you going to harvest and manifest things through that genie? But it should not go against your ABCs. Do not allow the genie to take over and make you robotic and lose your authenticity and lose your voice and what distinguishes you. Because I think what's going to really alter the path of organizations, make them more successful, is when they actually operate in a more authentic and human centric way. Those are the heroes in the future, not the ones that are just doing everything robotically and everything through AI and everything through automation.
That's beautiful. You know, you've touched on that future. Young generation is definitely can use some of that ABC fashion and passion for you from you. But any advice for the young gen that really doesn't know anything else? They have us, they have families that give them their authentic background. But what would you give advice to young generation that are starting careers, that are going into tech, changing fields, and everything is changing so fast?
Yeah. So they are digital nomads and natives, and they have grown up with technology that we didn't have access to when we were. And so I'm worried about them missing out on the human connection aspect and being too isolated. And there's truth to that, that teenagers and younger generations are struggling because they're so isolated. But to those who are in the workforce, and I have adolescent children as well, and they're in their beginning of their career path, I think there's a huge opportunity to manifest a creative, flourishing career. But it doesn't necessarily have to be defined the way it was defined for our generations. I don't see people keeping these 5 and 10 year positions in an organization as the future. I see people having multiple gigs and different paths to having a livelihood. It doesn't have to be a paycheck that is for 40 hours in the same position in the same role. I think it's going to be dependent on how creative people are. And I think there's a path for entrepreneurship that is really amazing. As long as you're looking to solve a problem or improve the human experience in some way, you have the ability to really charter a path for yourself that could be very, very lucrative and beautiful.
I love it, such a positive outcome, and I totally feel that there is so much opportunity for young generation and also for our generation, and uniting the boldness, uniting the authenticity, and really compassion for the world is amazing. So thank you so much for a fantastic conversation, and it's so inspiring. Now I have a full day of being inspired by you. So thank you for giving me this beautiful story of yours and sharing with the world. And I look forward to your next book. I read your first book. It was fantastic. I really enjoyed all the stories. So hopefully everyone will read it. We'll put a link of your book after. And yeah, I look forward to see you soon.
Yeah, same here. And I look forward to collaborating with the other extraordinary women on this network. And I'm thrilled to be part of the Diamond Club here. So looking forward to fun times ahead.